Hi, I'm Roxanne Richardson, and this is Technique Tuesday. I have a couple of different ways that I approach the act of increasing or decreasing evenly across a row. Now, this is a situation where you're only doing it for one row. You're not repeating these increases or decreases multiple times over the course of multiple rows. This is just a transition point, either from one stitch pattern to another where you need to change the stitch count, or maybe from one section of the pattern to another where it's just a transitional point. That's typically why you are doing something like a mass increase or decrease. So I want to show you a couple of approaches. I use different approaches depending on the situation. I've got 100 stitches of worsted weight on this needle right here. What the intention is when they say to increase or decrease evenly is they just want those increases or decreases to be distributed more or less evenly. It doesn't have to be exact. If it had to be exact, they would have given you a very specific instruction about how many stitches to work before you did your increase or decrease, and then how many more. But a lot of times it just doesn't matter, so they don't give you something specific. So if I had to increase 2 stitches evenly, I would just do one somewhere in the first half of the round and the other one somewhere in the second half. I probably wouldn't put them right near the edges. So this is something that's flat, and if I was knitting in the round, again, I wouldn't do both of them near that transition of the round. I do some, some just kind of put them approximately half a round apart from each other, but it doesn't have to be exact. And if I was doing 3, again, I would do somewhere in the middle of the first third, somewhere in the middle of the second third. And if you're not sure where you are when you're knitting, then you can just put a marker in. So you can kind of eyeball, well, these are about thirds. And so you could put a marker here and a marker here. And then as you were knitting across here, somewhere in the middle here, put in your increase or decrease. Somewhere in the middle here, put one, and somewhere in the middle there. So they will be away from the edges, but away from each other as well. So when you get in a situation where you have to do quite a few more than that, like maybe a lot of increases, so you don't want to put like 30 different markers in here, you could divide the row or the round up into quarters or eighths. And again, you can just eyeball that. You can divide this in half, put a marker on here, divide it in half again, if you have a circular. If not, just eyeball it. Put a marker there so that you have your quarters. And then let's say you had to do something like increase 25 stitches. Well, you're not going to be able to get an equal number in each of those quarters, but you can get close. So you could do 6 in this one, 6 in this one, 7 in that one, and 6 in this one. As long as there was 7 in one of those, you could do that. Now, if you wanted to divide these up further, because that would be too hard for you, you could divide it up into eighths, and then you could do 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, for most of them, and have 4 in one of them. So that's a good way to just eyeball things and make sure that you're not bunching too many increases in one area of the row, because the point is just to distribute them and not cluster them in one place or another. Now, there are times when I want a little bit more precision, but I don't want to go hunt up an online calculator or look up what the formula is. So I do these kinds of calculations visually. So let's say I had 100 stitches on the needle and I needed to add 10 stitches. So I needed to do 10 increases. What I can think about is that I need 10 sections of my row or round, and I need to put one increase in each of those sections. So if I divide 100 stitches by those 10 increases, the 10 sections I need, I would need 10 stitches in each. So if I have 10 buckets or 10 sections that have 10 stitches in each of them, then I know I could put a marker every 10 stitches and know that I needed to do an increase in each one of those somewhere in the middle. Or what I could do is I could divide that first section up so that there are 5 stitches in it, and then put the other 5 stitches there. And that way, instead of trying to remember to do something in the middle, I could just work my way up to this marker, and then when I 2 stitches away from the marker, I could do my decrease. So every time I came to 2 stitches before the marker, I'd work my decrease. Or every time I got to the marker, I could do a make one if I wanted to use an increase. So that is something that's helpful for me, is using that marker as a visual reminder. Oh, wait, that marker's coming up. I need to do my decrease, instead of just sort of mindlessly knitting along and forgetting that I needed to do that increase or decrease somewhere in the middle. So you can do it either way, divide it up evenly and then just remember to do it somewhere in the middle of each one, or you can split the first section up and then put half of it at the end, and then just know that at every single marker you're going to be doing your decrease or your increase when you are approaching it. So in that previous example, the stitches divided out evenly. So each of the sections where I had to do an increase were exactly the same numbers, except for the beginning and end I had divided in half. Things don't always divide out evenly. Let's say I was starting with 100 stitches, but I only needed to do 8 decreases. Well, 8 goes into 100 12 times, but there's a remainder of 4 stitches. So how would you handle something like this? Well, you would have 8 sections, because you need to do 1 decrease in each section. So you have 12 in each section. So again, we could do that trick where we're dividing them out at the beginning and end with 6. So we have it divided out like that. But then we need to distribute the 4 stitches. So we just pick 4 of these. So I could add 1 in each of these like that. So, and then I could place my markers once I saw the stitch counts I needed. And then once again, as I approached that marker, then I could work my decrease when there were 2 stitches remaining, or when I got to the marker, I could work my increase and then slip the marker and then work the next section. So there are a lot of different ways to do this, and this is one way to help you visualize, especially when the numbers don't divide out evenly. This kind of a scenario really works well for me. When you are doing mass increases or decreases, you can use the same increase or decrease across the entire row around. There's no need to mirror the increases or decreases. Use whichever one is easiest for you. Typically, a knit 2 together would be the easiest decrease for most knitters, and a make 1 left would be the easiest increase, but you can use whatever you prefer. You can even mirror them if you want. If you have any comments or questions about today's video, or suggestions for videos you'd like to see in the future, you can leave those down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.